All right, gang, I'm doing another deep dive today on a smaller niche French house that I discovered back in 2019. And the entire catalog consists of 14 different fragrances. And I thought I'd do a deep dive on this house. It's a smaller house, one that you guys should know about and check out their fragrances. So I was attending Pitti Fragranze in Florence in September of 2019. And I believe the brand debuted there at that time. And that was the first time I discovered the brand, and I actually fell in love with a fragrance called Peau d'Ambrette, which is now called Bois d'Ambrette. And Bois d'Ambrette is a powdery, musky fragrance with ambrette as a note, and also iris and notes like that, musky notes and powdery notes. It's a really awesome, really sexy fragrance. But the brand's been around since then. They got a nice collection of fragrances. A lot of the fragrances are created by Celine Perdriel, but there's also Marie Hugentobler, who I've never met. I've met Celine. I actually bump into her at the shows that I attend. And then there's a few other fragrances with different perfumers, but the majority of the fragrances are created by either Celine Perdriel or Marie Hugentobler. The other two perfumers are Lucas Sieuzac and Nathalie Gracia-Cetto. So we're going to go through the collection of fragrances. I'm going to do this alphabetical order. So let's get started with the first fragrance. Before we do, though, let me know if you're a fan of this house. Have you discovered the house? What are your favorite fragrances? Do add a comment below. And I should also say, these are all available at ZGO Perfumery, which I have linked the products to. And if you're in the market for any of them, ZGO also sells samples, and you can get them from over there. So let's get started with Ombre Papier, this one right here. Let me know if you've sampled this. Earlier this year, the brand launched 3 extracts, and then recently they launched a 4th extract, and this is one of the first 3 extract. So it's an amber, right? It's an amber fragrance, and it's got this papier in the notes. And so it feels kind of leathery and ambery together, and also very, very spicy and resinous. But there is something very woody in here as well. And I feel like there's either cypriol or papyrus type notes that are coming in this fragrance as well, or are featured in this fragrance. But in the end, it's quite warm and spicy, but also very woody and earthy. And of course, there's resinous touches in there and highlighting the amber touches. It's a really nice fragrance. In fact, I really appreciate Celine's creations. She does great work, and she's not one of the most famous perfumers out there. And she does a lot of work for Atelier Materi, and great work from her. Really nice person as well. I've met her. Like I said, I bump into her at the different shows I attend, and she does great work. And this Ombre Papier is really, really solid offering from the house. So check it out if you don't know this one. It's a great fragrance from the house, a little underrated. But the new one, the latest one from this house, is Black Oregano. And I personally think that this one is probably the most masculine in the collection. Yeah, I think depending on the notes that are featured here, this comes off quite masculine. It's quite herbal and aromatic, obviously, because oregano, the word oregano is here. It's also quite unusual. Like, oregano is never, at least to me, it's never a highlighted note in a fragrance, but it is here. But it's meshed with other spices and herbs and woods, and probably some fresh notes in there as well. Oregano is usually associated with either Greek food, Greek cuisine, or most importantly, like pizza from Italian cuisine and things like that. And so in fragrances, it does work. It's acting a slight bit like a barbershop-y fragrance, a fougere, but obviously overdosed with the oregano. And you got to be into oregano to really appreciate something like this. But I think if you like herbs and herbal notes and fougere style aromatic fragrances, you'll really dig this one. It's highlighting the oregano. And I think the only other fragrance I know that features a lot of oregano is the fragrance Interlude Man from Amouage. The oregano here doesn't smell like the oregano there. This oregano has a bit of a menthol, almost like eucalyptus, camphor-like presence. But I think it's quite lovely. It's different, it's unique, and something that doesn't appear in fragrances quite often. And if you want something different than other aromatic fragrances, of course, highlighting the oregano, definitely check this one out. So that's black oregano from the house of Atelier Materi. That is their latest offering, latest fragrance release from that house. It's part of the extracts collection as well. So the brand has 4 total extracts, and the rest of the collection are the eau de parfum fragrances, which come in bottles like this. And that's what the brand launched initially. And this is the one that I fell in love with. This is Bois d'Ambre. And of course, as I said, it used to be called Peau d'Ambre. I think they changed the name down the line. So this one I've mentioned, I've featured in quite a few videos. I really, really love this. It's super sexy. First of all, it's quite musky. It's really, really powdery. And there's woody touches in there. Woods for sure. And a slight greenness. I almost feel like there's also angelica here. I can kind of smell the angelica as a note, and angelica, ambre, all go very powdery. The ambre is a musky note, all natural, that has a powdery, touch in fragrances and very musky, but I believe they can also, push out like something boozy, fruity, like pear from the ambre seeds note. But to me, I really love it. It's, again, very powdery, musky, airy and ethereal, but also dense with woods and almost like pencil shavings woods. This was the first fragrance I fell in love with. I really liked the ambre seed note in fragrances. And the ambre also works really wonderfully with the iris. You can see that fragrance or that combo in a fragrance like Fleur de Peau from Diptyque. And if you like that, you might dig this one. I think it's similar ideas, but not identical fragrances. Whereas I think this one has a bit of a presence of angelica. And at this time also, when I pick out the angelica out of the fragrance, it sort of reminds me a little bit of something like French Lover from Frederic Malle. So if you like those fragrances, definitely check out Bois d'Ambre from the house of Atelier Materi. All right, next we've got Burgundy Oud, another extract. This is the 3rd out of 4 extracts I'm going to talk to you about from Atelier Materi. Burgundy Oud, it does have a slight fruity kind of. The thing I'm trying to lead up to is that it reminds me a little bit of mulled wine. So Burgundy, referring to the burgundy color of wine, red wine. And this gives me that kind of an experience. It's highly concentrated because it is an extrait de parfum. And you've got the oud in there. There's a slight bit of oud rose combo thing happening in here as well. Most likely there's some saffron in here I'm picking up. Maybe even some of the earthy touches of cypriol or papyrus. But there's that fruitiness that comes in here, giving you a slight warm, spicy mulled wine experience. And here, I think the color or the name, fits appropriately to this fragrance, the burgundy color. Yeah, so this is an extrait de parfum, Burgundy Oud from Atelier Materi. So taking that oud rose combo into an earthy, spicy, maybe a bit leathery from saffron touches as well. And of course, the fruitiness in there. But the next fragrance might be one of the more popular ones from this house. This is CACAO Porcelana. Let me know if you're familiar with CACAO Porcelana. Add a comment below. CACAO Porcelana is it's cacao, but to me, it does have a chocolatey presence, of course. And it's chocolate, but with a lot of dusting of cacao on top of it. More like your you're the baker and you're working with ingredients like chocolate and cacao to create delicacies. And there's a spiciness in there. And it's a gourmand, but not sugary sweet. It's also, you know, dark chocolate, completely unsweetened. There's sweetness here, don't get me wrong. But there's a clean coldness about it. And I think that's where the name comes from, Porcelana. Shiny, you know, marble, porcelain, and things like that. But it is super delicious. Really, really wonderful. This is definitely a top 5 for me from this house. It's quite yummy. And again, I like my chocolate to be somewhere in between milk chocolate, which is sweeter, and dark chocolate. Not full-on dark chocolate, not full-on milk chocolate. So I want that bitterness that comes with the, you know, the dark chocolate. And I want a little sweetness to balance it out. This is acting like that, but with a sprinkling of cacao on top. Maybe there's some spice like pepper in there as well. So that's super yummy. Let me know if you're familiar with Cacao Porcelana. I think it's a great gourmand for someone that likes gourmand notes, but not super sweet. The next one is a really, really solid one from this house. This is CEDRE FIGALIA. Really great job with this one from Celine Perdriel. So Cacao Porcelana was Marie Hugentobler. The Burgundy Oud was Celine Perdriel. Bois d'Ambre was Marie Hugentobler. And then we have Black Oregano and Ambre Papier are both Celine Perdriel. And the Cedre Figalia is also Celine Perdriel. Really great job. If you are a fan of Philosophes, but you want a bit more updated, elevated, a bit more modern take on that, this is one for you to try. I love this cedar. It's a cedar-focused fragrance. And it's figs, the leaves. It's a green variety. There's a smooth creaminess under there, but also this fragrance features spinach, which rarely comes up in fragrances. But again, it's an elevated Philosophes. It's green, it's woody, it's a bit creamy, slightly vegetal, bitter, of course, aromatic, spicy. Really lovely. Yeah, this is like, again, I started out wearing fig fragrances with Philosophes. I think I discovered Diptyque in San Francisco tour around the middle of 2000s. And one of the first fragrances I discovered was Philosophes. But I'm kind of bored of Philosophes because it's just got that coconutty creaminess and that typical smell, which Olivier Jacobetti created not only for Diptyque with Philosophes, but also Premier Figuier for L'Artisan Parfumeur. I'm a bit bored of that DNA. Here, it reminds me of it, but it's also slightly different, which makes a bit more inviting and exciting and something a little different, but familiarity is there as well. So I love that about this one. So that's CEDRE FIGALIA. Really solid offering from this house. Let me know if you're familiar with it. Add a comment below. Next fragrance is CUIR NILAM. This one right here. CUIR NILAM is obviously a leather-focused fragrance. Sorry, I didn't translate the other words, like NILAM. I'm not 100% sure what that's referring to. Anybody know? Let me know. Some of them makes more sense than others. CUIR NILAM, on the other hand, is that familiar leather smell. You might be familiar with things like, Tuscan leather, ombre leather, but done in a really robust, nice way. This is once again Celine Perdriel. I told you she's done a lot of fragrances for the house. She does great work, honestly. This one smells really, really fantastic. Super sexy, slightly fruity, very, very spicy. Of course, leather, amber, and woods in the base to make for a really luxurious and updated, elevated take on something like, fragrances that remind you of, Tuscan leather and things like that. Gorgeous fragrance, I think. That is CUIR NILAM. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. Then we have a fragrance called Iris Ebene or Eerie Ebene from Marie Hugentobler. It's this one right here. This one I'm not too familiar with, I have to be honest. And I'm a big fan of Iris, and I've mentioned in videos over and over again, the more I experience Iris, the more I end up really falling in love with Iris. Iris has become a top note for me. In fact, if I ever updated my top 10 favorite notes videos, I would probably put Iris really close to the top 5. In fact, it might even dip into the top 5. But this is, to me, a spicy, woody, powdery Iris. I'm saying it's woody because it's smelling a lot more woody than, like, sometimes Iris can smell vegetal. There's a slight bit of pencil shavings like smell in this because of the woods. And I think it's called Eerie Ebene or Iris Ebene. I think it's referring to ebony, so which is a type of wood. There's that kind of an experience here for sure. The woods are very, very prominent in this Iris fragrance. It's powdery for sure, but it does have a slight sheen or glossiness, which is obvious with ebony wood. Yeah, if you like a powdery Iris fragrance with lots of woods, definitely try this one. I think from what I remember when I was testing this out a long time ago, it did have a slight sweaty, slight animalic thing about it, if I remember correctly, which I'm kind of slightly picking up here off the strip. Yeah, there's a lot of Iris fragrances, and this one definitely goes into that polished, kind of varnished, you know, shiny, glossy woods direction. So this is Eerie Ebene or Iris Ebene. This next one's really, really awesome. This is a Marie Hugentobler creation. This is Narcisse TAIJI. So this came out around the same time that H24 came out from Hermes. Both fragrances are utilizing Narcisse, Daffodil. They're going in different directions, obviously. This Narcisse is on the green. Well, Narcisse in general kind of comes off green. And it's such a unique smell, honestly. And Narcissus or Daffodil sometimes has a funk to it. This one doesn't, thankfully. But it's the Narcisse flower come to life, pretty much, with all of its characteristics. It's kind of green, but also slightly smoky. And as I said, there's not that much funk here, but it kind of has it a little bit. And I think because it's featuring the Narcissus note, and H24 also has that Narcissus note. The note itself, not the actual fragrance, does remind me of the ingredient that's in both of the fragrances, the Narcissus, but the fragrances themselves are completely different. This one to me seems a lot more robust than the original H24, even the H24 EDP, the update of that fragrance. If you like that and you were looking for something a little more intense with the Narcissus focus, this is definitely one for you to try. Narcisse TAIJI. It's a very unique smell. I think Narcissus was having a bit of a moment. I don't think it fully, what do you call it? Like, it didn't really land. I noticed that there were some Narcissus-focused fragrances launching here and there, but it kind of fizzled out. Not many more followed. I think the only other, besides H24 and this fragrance, I do remember the Gentleman's Society fragrances, the original, maybe the more intense version, had the Narcissus. Even the Amber might have the Narcissus in it, but I think less. I can't think of any other fragrances that featured it, but I thought that we were going to have this kind of movement of Narcissus-focused fragrances. Let me know if you're a fan of Narcissus. I think the one that really comes to mind for me is Ostara from the House of Penhaligon's, which is sadly discontinued, created by Bertrand Duchaufour. Awesome fragrance. Thankfully, I have a couple of backup bottles of that one. I absolutely love it. But I mean, these do not remind me of one another, but it's basically highlighting the narcissus flower. Great scent, by the way. This is so good. I love it. It does remind me of spring. It's got that greenness, the freshness, but in a more substantial way. Not super fresh, but that's Narcisse TAIJI from the house of Atelier Materi. And then this next one is so super yummy. My cap is a little messed up here. This is NEROLI HASBAYA. Oh, yum. There's the only thing, sometimes caps lose their little inside part. I gotta glue that on or something, but it comes off. But this one actually shot a review of this with AMBRE PAPIER and Burgundy Oud. This turned out to be so yummy, so delicious. And to me, it's the Middle Eastern dessert come to life. If you're ever familiar with Middle Eastern desserts, this is definitely, I mean, if you like that idea, this is one you should definitely try. Also, the juice is a bit dark, as you can see. I think it's because it's got neroli in it. It's NEROLI HASBAYA. So there's this delicacy that I grew up with. It's a, well, orange blossom is consumed in the Middle East in food items. There's this really delicious, very creamy, fluffy ice cream that has this orange blossom in it. And it's sprinkled with pistachio, chopped pistachios. This is orange blossom and kind of vanillic creaminess, fluffiness, and also pistachio together. That's the dessert right there. So super yummy. I like that bitterness of the pistachio, the kind of greenness against the sweetness of the floral touches of the neroli orange blossom, and then the creaminess, smoothness of the vanilla or other, you know, gourmand type notes in here. And this might remind you of things like Love Don't Be Shy or maybe Sintra by Memo Paris or any of those fragrances. But with the addition of the pistachio seeds here, it reminds me of the dessert I grew up eating it because it's so good, so delicious, so yummy. So yeah, it's become one of my favorites in the collection. It's definitely a top 5 here. NEROLI HASBAYA. It's an Extrait de Parfum. Check that out. It's super yummy. Then we've got POIVRE POMELO. POIVRE POMELO, exactly what the name says. Pomelo is like a grapefruit type citrus, and then poivre meaning black pepper or pepper. So it's a peppery pomelo fragrance. Yeah. So this is also Marie Hugentobler. I can smell the DNA because it has a little bit of the Bois d'Ambre DNA in it. And also the CACAO Porcelana DNA in it, because those are fragrances that she's created. But the POIVRE Pomelo, ooh, yum. It's also super sexy. And it's fresh, but it doesn't have that juicy freshness. It's a bit more dense, and it's got a denser texture. But wow, delicious. Super yummy. Definitely top 5 for the house. I'm going to do a ranking after I'm done with all of the fragrances, by the way. But that POIVRE Pomelo is super sexy. I think it's a great fragrance to wear in the summertime. And the fact that it has some more intense and robust notes in there, like the pepper against the pomelo, which generally tends to go very fresh. You have a bit of intensity there to extend the life of the fragrance rather than, you know, fizzling away so fast because it's all freshy and citruses. That's really good. That is POIVRE Pomelo from the house of Atelier Materi. Then we've got Rose Ardoise. Rose Ardoise, let me know if you're familiar with Rose Ardoise. This is also created by Celine Perdriel. This to me, I believe from what I remember, is a green take on rose. Kind of stemmy also. Yes, it's also spicy, but it smells pink to me. Pink in a mature way, not a girly, young kind of candy pink. Like pink roses is what I'm getting from this. But lots of spice. It's almost like it's not necessarily a fully bloomed or matured rose. There's a younger fragility about the rose, but it's super spicy for sure, and green. A little bit dewy also, I think. But I smell pink. But not because it's, you know, like I said, not young and girly. Just a younger flower. Not super bloomed and like intensely jammy rose, like concentrated smell. It's fresh, but it's not acting like a fresh fragrance. Just the rose in it is acting a bit fresh. The only other thing in this one I'm reminded of, there's an Aesop fragrance called Rosu. It's almost reminding me of Aesop's DNA, not the actual fragrance itself, because Rosu goes super green. It's like the stems. This is more like the rose, a young rose, a pink rose, but like the DNA is reminding me a little bit of the DNA of Aesop fragrances, strangely, which is not a bad thing, I think. I feel like there's lots of woods in here and some slight incensey smokiness. So that's Rose Ardoise. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. All right, next we've got Santal Blonde. So this is the only one that's created by Lucas Sieuzac. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is also a different perfumer. Lucas Sieuzac, if you guys don't know his fragrances, he did Reflection Man for Amouage. Is he related to Jean-Louis Sieuzac? So this one is not my all-time favorite sandalwood fragrance, unfortunately. There's definitely like a varnish-like quality about it. Varnish, but brightness, not like super dark. Yeah, it comes off very woody, spicy. And I was thinking it might go creamy, but it doesn't go creamy, unfortunately. But it has this kind of a varnish-like presence, lacquer. There's a shiny glossiness with it. Let me know if you're a fan of Santal Blonde. All right, and the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Vanille Carbone. This also came out earlier this year, was it? Yeah, it came out earlier this year. This is also created by Nathalie Gracia-Cetto. This is the same perfumer who also did a very polarizing vanilla fragrance for Tom Ford called Vanilla Sex. So this vanilla is dark, greasy, leathery, oily vanilla. And smoky. Did I say smoky? Yeah, very smoky. So it's the complete opposite of Vanilla Sex. It's just taking it into the dark territory. There's a rubbery greasiness about it, oily. But it's covered up the sweetness of the vanilla, the vanillic touches of the vanilla, the gourmand touches. So it's not acting super gourmand. I believe there's also some cacao or chocolate under here, which also kind of covers it up. But I'm getting some spices. Is it cinnamon or is it cloves? For some reason, it's acting a bit like carnation. Why? Yeah, it's a darker take on vanilla. Those of you that are tired of sweet fragrances, gourmand fragrances, and they don't really have anything super gourmand except for Neroli HASBAYA, which also I wouldn't necessarily consider that a super gourmand because it has all that neroli in it. And once again, everything is not super sweet and cakey and fluffy, gourmand, sugary, but they're kind of bordering, teasing, but not quite going there completely. So that's Vanille Carbone, created by Nathalie Gracia-Cetto from Givaudan. So that is the last and final fragrance I'm talking about from Atelier Materi. I'm going to go ahead and do the ranking for you guys now. I'm going to pause the video and come back. Okay, here's my ranking. So as a bonus option, I'm going to recommend Black Oregano as the number 11 spot or the bonus. It's a polarizing experience, although that might grow on me further, but right now that's what I'm feeling. But at number 10, CUIR NILAM, the leather, really nicely done. Familiar DNA like Tuscan leather, ombre leather. Number 9, it's Vanille Carbone. And it's a dark one. Greasy, oily, leathery, smoky. So that's number 9. Number 8, Burgundy Oud. Yes, it reminds me of mulled wine with the oud. So it's rosy, fruity, a bit leathery, saffrony. And then at number 7, 7, Ambre Papier. Quite a wonderful amber and spicy, woody experience. Definitely deserving of the number 7 spot. And then at number 6, it's Narcisse TAIJI, highlighting the narcissus note. Green, spicy. I think a great representation or representative of the narcissus note, and has a kind of a spring-like presence. So that is up to number 6. Then we got number 5, Bois d'Ambre. It has slipped down a bit, yes. It has powdery, musky, woody, I guess vegetal, because I pick up the Angelica in here quite a bit. So that's at number 5, but it's super powdery and musky. Iris and Ambrette are prominent. Poivre Pomelo at number 4. Really great, actually. Smells wonderful. It's spicy, woody, citrusy, and perfect fragrance for the summertime. Cacao Porcelana at number 3. It's a great one. Very, very clean, cold, ice cold. Take on like a gourmand with chocolatey touches and cacao dustings. CEDRE FIGALIA at number 2. It's really awesome because, again, a little tired of Philosophes. So that is like an elevated take on Philosophes, adding a bit more greenness with that spinach note, but highlighting the fig leaves and so on. And then, of course, number 1, Neroli HASBAYA. So super delicious. That really reminds me of the desserts I grew up with, utilizing orange blossom in desserts and sweets and treats and things like that. And with the addition, I mean, I've experienced that kind of a DNA so much, most importantly with when I first discovered Love Don't Be Shy, but that did not feature the pistachios, and this does. So this really literally reminds me of, you know, that fluffy, creamy ice cream that's laced with the orange blossom sprinkled with pistachio. So that deserves a number 1 spot because it totally takes me back, gives me major scent memory. So that is Neroli HASBAYA at number 1. Anyway, that's the list for you guys and the ranking. Let me know which fragrances are your favorites from Atelier Materi. Add a comment below. And again, as I mentioned earlier, these are linked to ZGO Perfumery. You can go directly there, buy the bottles or buy samples. But I highly recommend you try the top 5. They're really great. In fact, if you can, try all of them. Buy some samples and test out all the fragrances from Atelier Materi. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon as well. And please don't forget to give a thumbs up for this video. It does help with the algorithm. See you later. Bye-bye.